This is Gateway City Sports.
It's a trap!
Oh, I'm sorry. Did I break your concentration?
This is the Team of Rivals podcast.
Everything you want to hear from the big sports to the big screen.
He's all by himself, fires into the end zone. Caught! Touchdown! No! Vaughn into the windup in his first offering. Just a bit outside. He tried the corner and missed.
He doesn't like you. I don't like you either.
Time winding down. Michael for three. Yes! She is gone! I can't believe what I just saw. Go crazy, folks! Go crazy! You believe in miracles? Yes!
You may fire when ready.
What?
Happy New Year, Cubs and Cardinals fans! It's 2022, Thursday, January 6th, and this, excuse me, I'm getting old. This is the Team of Rivals podcast, proud members of the Gateway City Sports Network, where you can find great podcast and blog content. After a 2-week hiatus, we are back, thrilled to be with you, thrilled to be live tonight, and thrilled, on one of our parts anyway, of being able to do the second show of the day. Now, before we get into it, you can follow us online at teamofrivalspodcast.com. We're on Instagram, Facebook, and Rumble at Team of Rivals Podcast, and we're on Twitter at Team of Rivals Pod. For those of you watching us live, hit the like and subscribe buttons, and be sure to ring that bell on YouTube so that you receive notifications anytime we post new content. Oh, and because I haven't updated the intro yet, not only are we on Twitter at Team of Rivals Pod, we're also on Getter at Team of Rivals Pod, because if it's good enough for Joe Rogan, it's good enough for us. Boys, it's a new year, it's a new dawn, it's a new day, and I'm feeling good. Tonight we're going to talk about the lockout. We've lost another week of baseball. We're going to talk about Carlos Correa rumors. We're going to talk about a great movie that I watched on Netflix today, just as we were getting ready for tonight. And Ron and Elliot had already seen it, of course, because I'm behind the times. And finally, for those of you who want to check out later in the show, we're going to talk Book of Boba Fett, but that's not for some time. We're going to talk baseball first. And in order to do that, I'm going to invite on with me tonight's show host, co-founder of TOR. And oh, how the mighty have fallen.
I fell down.
Formerly number 48 in the 2020 edition of the Top Cards on Twitter. He falls 56 slots. I haven't seen a team fall that precipitously since
it's brutal.
Well, since the Chicago Bears took the base or the football field a couple years ago. Ron Nuttall,
every year.
And of course, permanent occasional guest host Elliot Dewey. Gents, how you doing tonight?
Very good. Okay.
Well, doing well.
All right. So I have to reset all of E's cameras because he froze up and came back in. That's okay. That's okay. You know what? And I've done the auto switch off, so nobody will have to see my work in the background. But yeah, I mean, I think it's a stretch to say the mighty have fallen, so I'm not really sure how mighty I was anyway. I was really riding the coattails of the Two Birds on a Bat podcast they established last year when I was doing that, filling in for Jim, doing the Ruffled Feathers show, having guests like, Matt Holliday on, Brad Thompson and guys like that probably helped my status a little bit, as well as, riding the coattails of a podcast that was run by Jim and Benji Molina probably propelled me in that top 50. And as soon as that gig kind of dried up a little bit, I'm not surprised I fell, man, but I didn't think I'd fall that far. I thought I was going to fall, Pete, but man, I fell hard and fast. It's kind of embarrassing.
You doubled your number of last year and then some. It was like it wasn't good enough that you had fallen. You needed to add another 10% just as the tip.
And it was absolutely brutal. So we'll go ahead and I got to repair the screen here since our buddy has fallen off. So you notice there's a gap right there in the screen. Yeah, you're going to keep going.
Elliot looks like that looks like Elliot.
That's okay. I'm gonna fix this in the background here, and Pete, you just keep going.
Okay, I'll keep going. So it's January 6th. Obviously, Major League Baseball and the MLBPA are not going to be meeting anytime soon to discuss baseball because there's a lockout. So, guys, we've lost yet another week. Pitchers and catchers are supposed to report, I believe, in 5 weeks. I think it was supposed to be mid-February. I think it's becoming increasingly clear that we're going to lose some part of either spring training and or the season. With every week that goes by, I'll tell you, I'm becoming less optimistic about a solution coming up anytime soon. Not only that, I'm also starting to worry about baseball because, guys, it's becoming less imperative for me to pay attention to what's happening. Ken Rosenthal's firing from MLB Network kind of slipped under my radar. And when I did read about it, I was like, oh, that's too bad. And then I kind of moved on. I don't know about you guys, but Ron, you alluded to this before we went on our hiatus. Losing interest in baseball because it's just not there. And I wonder what's going to happen to baseball in the future if they don't get their shit together and fix this quick.
Yeah, I don't really know what I can add to that other than it was kind of look. I had to go back and kind of look up, what happened. What did Ken write about in 20? I think it started in 2020, right, when they couldn't get it together and couldn't get back. And I don't know. I mean, I wonder, Pete, and I talked about that. By the way, so I want to first of all say thank you to Katie Wu, writer for The Athletic in St. Louis, who joined me today. Short show. I think it was only about 30 minutes long. Might have even been less, but I put it out on audio earlier, so you guys can listen to it. But we want to thank her for the time that she gave me today. And I know Pete's a little bit hurt by this. I didn't know he was at home. I would have totally asked you, Pete, to join, but I didn't want to bug you guys during. Assuming both were at work. So I wasn't going to bug anybody. And this is me trying to cover my tracks here while I fix the screen. There we go. That's better. That's not better. But I want to thank her for giving me a little bit of time today to talk a little bit about this. So, man, I wanted so badly to ask about the Ken Rosenthal thing with somebody who's from The Athletic, but I didn't do that. It's probably an uncomfortable situation to put somebody in, given that you got to have access to a major league club, and somebody like that gets not renewed or partnership is ended with somebody like him. But out of all the guys we follow on Twitter, social media, anything, like he's one source I don't think any of us question when he reports a rumor or anything else. He's one of the handful that we're all like, that's he's not going to report it out unless there's something real there, unless there's substance. Kind of like Derek Gould of the Post-Dispatch. I view him much of the same way. Bob Nightingale, running joke. We all believe that anything he predicts or talks about is never going to happen. But I bet if you did a scorecard on him, he's probably right more often than he's wrong. But Ken Rosenthal is one of those guys who's not very intimidating. I think I retweeted that one tweet from that Braves pitcher that he's all but 5'4", but he stands taller than a lot of MLB executives. And you know what? He's not going to lose out on anything. I liked hearing him on MLB Network. I've always been critical of that whole network, though. Anybody who's directly being fed from Major League Baseball, the reporting and everything else, I kind of look at that and go, well, this is going to be very vanilla, very Kool-Aid drinking style reporting here. There wasn't a lot of breakthrough stories. There wasn't a lot of brand new news that was broken there ever. Everything was kind of peachy keen. I've never been a huge fan. We're not going to lose out on Ken Rosenthal. He's still with Fox and he's still with The Athletic. So we're going to get plenty of Ken Rosenthal. And if anything, guys, they've untethered him. So he can, I kind of feel, I don't know if you feel any different, Pete, you've kind of taken the shackles off of him a little bit, right? If they ever were on there before, I guess in theory, he's got less, he's got fewer shackles, or they're much weaker at this point. You've let him go, right?
And not only that, you may have poked the bear.
I think you poked the bear. That's probably a better way to put it. Yeah.
Leave him on MLB and just kind of relegate him to some smaller stuff. Just quietly stop publishing his pieces.
Damn it.
And
let him frozen say, again. He is stressing me out.
Look, just leave that up and we'll talk over it.
I don't want to do that. We're not going to do that. We're going to do this. This is better.
Just a question mark.
No, we're gonna do this for a while until I see him moving again.
He's gonna come in with an excuse again. You know it, right?
You hear him making noise. You heard him making noise in the intro, right?
Yep.
Or was that you typing? I mean, it's one of you two. It's usually him, but sometimes it's you.
It might have been me. It might have been me getting myself situated. I mean, I got the new specs on, so.
Yeah, those look weird. You had like a green glow, like you had green eyes there. But anyway, I don't want to digress.
Well, that's because the light is reflecting off.
I tell you,
right? So
tell you what, since Elliot's not here right now.
Is that better?
Yeah, look up.
Less
though.
of the green glow.
Look
I'll
up. Though.
look down. Yeah, no, these aren't.
Hold on, he's not here. He's not here. So
these aren't. Well done.
Is that all right? Okay.
These aren't a prop, man.
You finally
acknowledging old age.
Yeah, you know the hair for me. It's the light's a little bit darker out here, so I think it's being. I've got air cover as far as the hair goes right now, which is fine. And actually, I'd rather go back to this. Hold on, let me go back to this shot here so we can get back to normal here.
How far back are you going?
If he's part of our crew, he's just gonna have to sit there. Okay.
He's not contributing.
He's not contributing. He's just gonna sit there.
He's just sitting there stone faced, but he's part of the crew.
Is he high again this week? Is that the problem?
Let's see. My internet is shit. It's not letting me connect. That's
okay, fine.
That's in our chat.
Tell him your picture's up anyway. And he can join. Not to digress though, but so there's the lockout, right? There is the two sides are not talking. There's the whole letting go of Ken Rosenthal, who's I'm sorry, but by fans, I don't know a fan base that doesn't respect and actually love and revere a reporter like Ken Rosenthal, just like Tim Kirkjian for ESPN. I mean, these guys have been doing this for a long time. We trust every word that they put out there. Their credibility is second to none among any sports reporters that we know of. Pete is Major League Baseball. Go ahead before I.
Well, I was actually going to say, Ron, you actually lead into it, and I wasn't planning to talk about this, but it actually provided the perfect contrast, right? Ken Rosenthal goes perfect. I loved it. I love that the system still thought that he might be there.
Oh, there he is.
Hey.
Jesus.
I love that he's still freezing. He's back, but he's not.
This is the best. For those of you who are only going to listen to the audio portion of this,
just for those of you who are listening to this and not watching,
it's really super annoying.
You have to go to YouTube. You got to go to Facebook, Rumble, whatever your preferred platform is, and watch in the first 15 minutes of the show, and you get to see Elliot just be frozen, and then glitchy, a question mark. I mean,
Elliot,
it
we
really
kept
has
you up,
already run the gamut of the Elliot experience.
Elliot, you've carved out your niche here, and you've done it like
I know.
You're the best and the worst.
It's almost like you planned this.
And the worst.
He's the best and the worst, and I don't know how that's possible, but he is.
I'm watching my connection down at the bottom of my computer go from
it's stressing you out.
1 bar to all 5 bars, and it's annoying me because I have the links is pulled up on my phone, and I can see it switching between the furthest node and the closest node, which is right behind my computer.
Yeah, you lost me when you started talking about nodes, man.
You're damn right. Yeah. I am gonna do some direct connecting. This weekend.
Okay, that's the way to go. In fact, I have 150-foot Ethernet cable now out into my new place, my new digs out here. But Pete, what we were saying is, the point where I was going with the whole Ken Rosenthal thing and the lockout happening right now is that I think Major League Baseball itself is, and the Players Union, they're a little tone deaf to what's happening with baseball and through the eyes of fans. They're going to say they have a marketing department, they have their thumb on the pulse of fans. They're going to claim all the good. They're going to tell us everything that we would want to hear. That baseball's perfectly healthy, nothing wrong with it. Interest levels better than it's been in recent years, and people are just wanting baseball back. Okay, whatever you want to believe, I see it differently. I see baseball is at risk of losing, of slipping further behind in interest level. It certainly is for me. And look, I don't think of myself as the litmus test for the entire population. But when you got somebody as devoted as I am to the game, and somebody as devoted as my son is to the game, and countless others that I know very well on Twitter, and social media, we start to lose a little bit of interest and find other things to do. That's not a good thing. And to have a lockout where both sides are unwilling right now to even open up dialogue or talk or give our goddamn writers anything to write about, other than complaining about the lockout, which we all are too. Like, what are you not paying attention to? This is the worst possible time you guys could be doing this. We have not entered a season uninterrupted or with some kind of normal frame of mind going into a baseball season since 2019. Made that point with Katie today when I was talking to her. It's been a long time. We're going on year 3 where we're facing disruption. We're facing this unpleasantness between the two sides, this venom. And I'm tired of it, man. I'm as tired of it as I am with politics about CNN doing nothing but bitching about Donald Trump and anything to do with the Republicans. I'm tired of Fox News bitching about Joe Biden being old and he's almost dead, or he is walking dead. And I'm tired I'm tired of this as I am with politics. Can we just get back to somewhat fucking sanity? Just sanity with the sport, sanity with both sides. I would tell politicians the same thing. Can we just get back to moderate fucking everything across the board just for a few years so we can all collect our breath, take a timeout, just like a kid who's throwing a tantrum, get your ass in your room for 5 minutes, cry it out, bang it out, scream it out, do whatever you have to do, come back down and we'll talk. And I want to say the same thing to baseball. My God, guys, if you couldn't pick a worse time to be pulling this kind of shit right now. The CBA didn't pop up on you at the last minute. It wasn't a last minute warning. You knew this was coming. You knew you had a pandemic, all kinds of other nastiness going on back and forth. Like, get your shit together, or I am, not that this is any threat to the world. It isn't. But I will just completely fucking deactivate my Twitter account. I will walk away from all this shit. It's not going to matter to them. But I'm just so fed up with the pettiness, back and forth. You had something very nice right there in the palm of your hand. Just take care of it, and you won't take care of it. Fuck both of you. Fuck all of you.
If you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to subscribe. And if you want to help spread the word, please give a 5-star review and tell your friends to subscribe.
And check out Sean Wiley at allstate.com.
And believe me, if you enjoyed that rant, you're going to hear it again, because I am going to cut and paste that, and we're going to put it up all over the place.
Very well.
And Greg, our longtime listener and viewer, Greg Yackey, he's throwing you some love in the chat, Ron. So and
we're all tired.
You're not
Pete.
the only one.
We're all tired. It's just everything's tiresome. People overreacting to everything, and we're seeing it happen in the world of sports. Holy shit! I mean, I know we don't talk about football very often, but this whole Antonio Brown thing is another. Like, what is happening? What is happening in this world? Like, all of these extreme things are happening all within a short period of time, and I just can't. It's overload. I can't take it. But I want to get back onto what we were talking about. Thank you, Katie, for joining me today from The Athletic. You guys, she's not even spent 1 year with the Cardinals organization yet, but her personality, her demeanor, and I think just she's very good fit for Cardinals and the way Cardinals Twitter behaves and the way it is. I think she's been a perfect fit. So thank you for her time today. And I look forward to, if they get back, I look forward to her work, because I do enjoy her whole personality. I think she's great. She's a great addition to the whole Cardinals media thing that they've got going on. It's always been pretty good, but Katie's been awesome, and she spent some time with us today. So,
Ron, so by saying that she's a good fit with the Cardinals organization and Cardinals Twitter, does that mean that every Cardinals player is the best player ever in the league,
no,
as well as all of the prospects are the absolute best ever, and the Cubs have never had any good players ever, and they suck, and that organization should be burned to the ground and the earth salted, and fuck Chicago?
No, that would be me.
No. But that's why she would fit in with Cardinals Twitter.
No.
It's not just you; it's everybody.
She stated. If you go listen to it's the audio version only. We didn't do video. If you listen to the audio version, she clearly states that, she likes writing from that kind of unbiased place. She's not a Cardinals fan. She's a West Coast person. She loves baseball. She was covering minor leagues before. What she learned by coming over to the Cardinals is how passionate the fan base is, and learning about that fan base, and learning what the franchise has meant to them over the decades and years. And she loves to write for the fans and the passion for the fans, which doesn't necessarily mean, Pete, that we want to burn Chicago. All of us do. We enjoy the rivalry when it's good. And when the Cubs win, yes, I want Chicago to burn. I want the Chicago Fire to come back when they win. But other than that, I like to see good competitive baseball. I like to see the fan base happy. And she kind of echoed that same sentiment. So she was great. She was a great conversation. It was a little bit short. We had a little bit of internet issues like Elliot tonight. But it was good. So check it out. And yeah, baseball and the Union sucks right now.
Elliot, anything?
I can't wait to listen to it. There's nothing better than listening to somebody who's what? Sorry, I haven't listened to it today.
No, it's not that. It's the contribution. It's the long pause, and then I can't wait to listen to it.
It seemed very disingenuous.
No. I mean, there's a lot that's happened in the last 15 minutes, and I'm still kind of heated right now about my interwebs. But
shouldn't let that stuff piss you off.
It's kind of funny that, to kind of go back to the Ken Rosenthal firing, it's kind of funny that that's the thing that they really have wanted to focus on right now. Not, hey, let's see if we can get some meetings and get together and discuss this. Let's fire the guy who criticized the commissioner of baseball. That looks fantastic. So, I know it's been a long time coming for him, and he's wanted to do it forever, but it's just so stupid. So it reminds me of the firing of Steve Stone from the Cubs broadcast for criticizing the Cubs front office. What was that? 98?
Was it after 98? You guys tell me. I don't remember. Was it?
But
I mean, that's kind of the exact same thing. Because we talked to Chip about that after the fact.
That's right. Yeah.
Oh, okay. No, that my brain's going blank on that one, so I don't remember.
It's just it's something that you shouldn't have to worry about, relieving a journalist because he's criticizing you because because of the boneheaded mistakes that you're making with baseball. So.
Honestly, Ron,
if he could fire everybody, he would.
What it reminds me, right? Whether we're talking about baseball and their inability to think ahead and to cover themselves, right? Or whether we're talking about Elliot and his inability to think ahead and cover himself on his internet connection. What it really reinforces for me is that regardless of who you are, you really should be concerned about protecting yourself. And neither of those groups thought about protecting themselves, right? Whether it's Ron, Major League Baseball, MLBPA, nobody's protected themselves. And if they would just listen to the Team Rivals podcast, they would know what they should be doing, right?
And they would appreciate it if you just kept going just for a second so I could pull up what I need. But that's okay. Pete, I understand what you're saying. Protection is one of the most important things we can do for ourselves and our families. And sometimes life throws you a curve, and that's why you need Allstate. Wiley Group has 2 locations in Festus and Arnold to serve you. They offer home, auto, boat, motorcycle, business, life insurance, investments, and so much more. They can offer a customized approach that is unique to your situation to make sure you, your family, and assets are properly protected. They also offer great rates and savings. Give Sean and his team a call today at 636-764-6294. They'll help you with an insurance quote right over the phone. You can give them a call if you want to talk some sports. They do that too. We all have busy lives, so you can email Sean at seanwiley@allstate.com and talk to him about your coverage options. And remember, you're in good hands with Allstate.
Speaking of being in good hands, the rumors won't stop. And Ron, as you indicated before, and clearly Elliot's frozen again because of the nice black line right across his nose there. That's a good look. Really, if you're listening to this, you need to take the time to go back and watch this stream on YouTube, because this is some quality video on Elliot.
And we love. You know what? If we were annoyed by Elliot, if we actually didn't want him around, this wouldn't last, and I would just block him out of every show from now on. We would make him a really serious occasional guest.
Really, you should be throwing him in the big screen. He should be in the big window for the rest of the night, just so that we can all.
We did that at the end of last week.
2 weeks ago. 3 weeks ago.
Shit, 3 weeks ago. It's been a long time since we've done a show.
It's been a while.
Yeah, 3 weeks ago.
Can't you throw him in the featured box and move me over?
I can, yeah. Well, hold on. I don't know if
I love how
I didn't have this one refined. Hold on. I've got one I've got one nit here I got to correct before we do this, but I'm going to do it right now. Okay? Send it over. There we go. Had to get our logo in there. But we're good. Brilliant. All right. There he is.
Yeah, I tell you, speaking of not being able to let go and being able to protect things. Ron, you indicated that you weren't up to speed on this. I know Elliot is because I am. And Elliot, I'll give you credit. I think that you are a little bit further out on the bleeding edge when it comes to Cubs news for me. This Carlos Correa rumor just will not go away. It keeps growing and growing. Personally, I don't think
there is a lot of smoke.
I don't think that they're going to be able to land him, but this is not going away. And Ron, I know that this is going to piss you off if this actually comes through, but so here's the rumor, and I'll lay the groundwork, and then Elliot, you can run with this. What's being discussed is that the Cubs have approached Carlos Correa and said, look, we're not giving you 10 years, but let's discuss 7 years, a ridiculous AAV, and multiple opt-outs come to Chicago. And apparently he hasn't said no. So this is something that seems to be a real possibility. Go. What do you think?
I like it. I mean, I hope that they do it. I know that on Twitter and social media, he has been active and he has been interacting with Cubs fans and with articles that are kind of about that. I know that Stroh reached out to him as well and would love to see Correa come to Chicago. There's just a lot of talk on social media about it, and it's like every couple of days or at least once a week something comes out linking something with the Cubs and Correa. If they can do like a 7-year deal, I think I would be okay for that.
Yeah, I agree, especially if they allow multiple opt-outs, so that if he overperforms or wants to opt out, hopefully by that point, the Cubs have grown some of their middle infield prospects and have set themselves up so that he can leave. The guy I feel bad for in this, and then Ron will throw it to you. The guy I feel bad for this is Nico Hoerner. That poor kid's gotten screwed out of a potential major league, a more impactful major league career. He got called up to the Cubs because they were out of options. They had nobody and they needed a shortstop. And so he got called up the year that he was drafted. And he's been good enough to stick, but he hasn't been good enough to star. And unfortunately, the Cubs have needed him every year since he's been called up. They haven't been able to afford to send him down. And that's really what he needs. He needs development time. But this poor kid is never going to get that chance. And it seems that if the Cubs manage to sign Correa, Nico Hoerner is going to be given an opportunity to develop into Ben Zobrist 2.0. But you kind of wonder what might have been if he had been given the opportunity to grow like some of these other hot prospects and been able to refine his game and been able to develop either at shortstop or at second base, whatever it was going to be, and actually get an opportunity to grow. So feel bad for the kid. I really do.
Feel like do you feel, Pete, that it's going to end up happening elsewhere? Just that, I mean, if they were to make a move, if they were to bring somebody in, I mean, I think the right thing to do, if like he's shown that much potential, or at least,
leave him.
No, I am. If he's showing that much potential, you can probably see that. And it happens with some guys, right? But they just get that opportunity to either develop or play without some. Elliot, I love the screen, man. This is you are on fire tonight. You are on fire. It happens sometimes. They're put in that situation where the pressure is not that high, and they can just play, develop, enjoy it, and not be under the microscope, so to speak. Like if you went to, you go to somewhere else where the expectations aren't as heavy. But I kind of feel like that's what it is. Now I haven't been following this Correa rumor. With Major League Baseball being locked out, guys, I swear to God, and I'm on Twitter enough, but I don't have a phone glued to my hand like people that have thousands of followers. I don't. So I pay attention to enough, but that's a danger I was speaking to earlier. I'm starting to show a lot of interest in other things that are outside of this. And so that shows my, kind of taking a step back. And I've said this for like about 2 years in a row now. I keep taking that. I'm moonwalking back off of baseball, guys. Moonwalking slow, unless you're Michael Jackson. I'm not. Got bad knees and bad feet.
In other words, to our devoted audience, Ron is previewing the transition of the Team of Rivals podcast from a Cubs Cardinals podcast. We're going to be an EPL podcast. We're going full European football, boys and girls.
You know what? That's yeah. I wish I was more plugged into all of that. I don't know, man. I'm not like I was. I think at what point was it, guys? Like in August or whatever, when I was like, I haven't watched the game for 2 weeks and I couldn't do it. I couldn't bring myself to do it. This is a rough year. It's a conversation I want to have with Katie today, but I couldn't. We just didn't have enough time. We covered other things, but this is one of the tougher years for me just to watch the team. In a year when you acquire an all-star third baseman, an MVP caliber potential third baseman, and I couldn't watch the team for several weeks at a time. And that's, again, just going back to the risk. I mean, with not just me, but you think of somebody who's less of a fan, who's more casual about it. It's just not a good thing for baseball. They need to get their shit together and get back to it. But back to this Correa rumor, if they do, it adds to my confusion about what the hell the Cubs are doing. If they bring in Correa, they've already made a couple other moves, like Marcos Stroman. I thought the Cubs, and I accused them. I'll eat crow if I'm wrong about it. I'm already wrong about it. I said they were going full blown tanking. I thought they were going to repeat the same. They're going to try the same formula, go back. We're going to lose for about 3 or 4 years, draft high, trade away who we can, and we'll make another 4 or 5 year run. I thought that's totally what they were doing. Now I don't know what they're doing. I'm more lost. I know what the Reds are probably going to do. Maybe they're trying to put a little smoke screen over it. Oh boy.
No freaking way. The Reds they're not competing this year.
I know, but I don't know if they're. I think are they trying to hide it? I don't really think they are.
They're not even trying to hide it.
The Pirates,
it's obvious.
I don't know that we can accuse the Pirates or the Orioles or anybody else of tanking anymore because I'm not really sure they know what to do.
No.
So, I said, hey, look, there's only going to be 2 out of the 5 NL Central clubs next year trying to win, and I was pointing to the Brewers and the Cardinals, obviously, but I could be wrong. If the Cubs pull off a deal like this, then I'm wrong about them. But then it makes me scratch my head about what they just did. Now, those guys were coming up at the end of their deals. I get it. And maybe they didn't feel strongly enough that they wanted to lock in a Chris Bryant or Anthony Rizzo's later. He's later in his career, clearly. They didn't want to make a long-term commitment to him. Javier Baez, they didn't feel like they wanted to do that either. So, I mean, he's a Carlos Martinez equivalent to a shortstop.
Yeah.
They're kind of the same person.
You're absolutely right.
Yeah. Like they're capable of being so much more, and they just refuse to do it.
And they'll tantalize you, right? They'll throw out that MVP caliber season. You're like, oh my God, he's turned the corner.
Yeah. Or that game or that week or that month, and then they'll be like, fuck it.
Yep.
I'm not interested enough to be great.
What do you think, Elliot? Are the Cubs going for it this year, or is this all a smokescreen?
I feel like they're kind of doing some of the things like the Bears do, where
Jesus, I knew you were going to go there.
They think
that's
they're
why I'm
being
laughing.
clever,
I knew you were going to say that. You got a
and then
damn
they're
Bears
really
hat
not.
on. Yeah, I knew you were going to go there, and you're right.
Hey, speaking of which, the rumor
Where
is
they're like-
that Sunday is Joe Madden's last game. I mean, Matt Nagy. Sorry.
Jesus Christ.
Correct.
And you didn't even say John Madden, you
I
said
saw
Joe
a report
Madden.
that came out that says that after them not saying anything about pace, that somebody inside the Bears organization says that no, pace is going to be gone too.
God,
Oh,
I
he
hope
should.
so. I
He
hope
should.
they don't just although I hope so, but then you look at what the Bulls have done, right? And yes, they cut Gar Forman loose, but they didn't cut John Paxson loose. They kicked him upstairs, and he's in an advisory role, but basically he has no responsibility whatsoever. But if the Bears have some kind of loyalty to Ryan Pace and they want to give him, some cush job where he's getting paid 6 figures and he doesn't really have to do anything, maybe that wouldn't be the worst thing, as long as they get the equivalent of Arturas Karnisovas in the front office who actually has a plan. I think I could be down with that.
Yeah, but the Bears have no plan. There's no rhyme or reason to the way they go after guys. I mean, look at our offensive line. That was like the number one need last season, and they didn't really do anything about it. They went and got Jason Peters, who is at home pretty much retired, and said, hey, we need a left tackle. You want to come play?
Yeah, I mean, I swear to God, the Bears have been. We might not know it; might be secret. I swear to God, they've been bought by a just a holding company who just wants them to not be in the red and doesn't give a shit about what they do. just doesn't want them to spend money.
Yeah, it's like the guy who bought Sears and then just slowly
Eddie Lampert,
closed stores and put them out of business. Jesus.
Yeah, they're not generating any excitement. Not only that, just the way they play. I think the way they've been coached over the years, and that's probably a product of who they have on the field. But shit, man, you talk about milking the cash cow just with the devoted fans up there for football. That how long is that going to last? Maybe forever.
Right.
I don't know, man.
It'll probably last until Virginia McCaskey's gone.
Yeah, I think that there's. I don't know though. I think that they run the risk, and this is something that I think every organization that actually cares deals with. They run the risk of alienating their fans to the point where Chicago Bears fans stop caring. And the worst thing that could happen, and I could see this happening, is they continue to do what they've always done. They build a facility in Arlington Heights, right? And so it's a world-class facility and everything. And then football says, well, we want to expand. We want to have 32 teams. And, you know, there's a stadium down on the lakefront that's vacant. Does somebody want to come in?
There's a stadium down on the riverfront, down I-55 that's vacant.
Yep. And all of a sudden, Chicago has 2 football teams. And the people who have been lifelong Bears fans say, fuck this. I am tired of this organization not really trying. I'm switching my allegiance to somebody who really cares. I can see it happening.
Yeah, the whole expansion thing's interesting. You know, we probably should have called our guy Derek on just to talk about that a little bit. But, yeah, it's disappointing, man. I feel like on the football front, I've just got nothing to look forward to. You guys feel worse than I do about it. You live up there. But, you know, once you've had, you know, you're embedded and you're ingrained in a certain franchise you've been rooting for since you were a kid. You know, there's no switching allegiance. I mean, yeah, I can appreciate what the Panthers do out here locally now that I live here, but I'm never gonna be overly excited about their success. I'm never gonna be too down about their failure. I'll probably never be able to switch away from the Bears unless they relocate and move, like move, not just to Arlington, but you know, if they were to move to another city, that might it might open up a gateway for me to move on. But anyway, it's stressful, it's unpleasant every year going into it. I just, you know, I have a feeling you know how they're going to end up, and then they end up the way you thought, and you're like even more pissed off. So nobody likes it. You know what else I don't like, Pete?
I'm going to guess, Ron, that you don't like the stress of buying a vehicle.
I don't like it at all. I don't like that. I already know what I want, and I go into the dealership, and it takes 3 hours, 4 hours to get out of there. It can be stressful, but it doesn't have to be. Fifth Street Motors, located in Pacific, Missouri, will help you find the vehicle you need no matter what brand. Fifth Street Motors believes in giving you the best price on a pre-owned vehicle that will fit your budget. Give Brandon or Dawn a call today at 573-259-1306 and tell them Gateway City Sports sent you. Nice.
Yeah, sorry to derail us into football talk.
No, I appreciate it. We got to touch on this every once in a while. I mean, as much as we want I mean, this is the one thing we all cheer for together. We would love it to work. And since we've been doing this, the Bears have sucked. To put it lightly. Pete looks confused.
I know.
Okay, so I'll switch over here. I don't know. I think we're about to transition a little bit. And before we do, Pete, give me the thumbs up if you think you're willing at this point to okay, you give me the thumbs up, so that's fine. And he's giving me the what? Elliot, can you translate that for me? I couldn't quite understand that.
I don't know. He's got
give it a
bars
shot.
in front of his face.
Hold on, I'll remove him. There you go. That better?
There you go. Yeah, all I
the
see
audio
pixels
version
right now.
people
It's
of this are
fantastic.
really going to be dumbfounded. I think you may be having a problem with the sound, but we're going to transition a little bit here. I think we've been on the sports front for a while here. We're all frustrated with baseball. We don't know what the hell they're doing. I think they're tone deaf to what they may be doing to their fan base and the interest level in this game. I don't know what the new terms of the CBA are going to be. I've heard that, rule changes and those kinds of things are off the table. Does that mean the DH2 Elliott, who we've all been like, hey, look, just do it. Just do it. Like, I'm Arnold Schwarzenegger. I'm down on the ground. Predator standing over me. I've got my trap in front of me. I'm saying, come on, kill me. Do it. I'm here. Kill me. Like, just do it. Give us the DH. Why are we waiting for it? Like, we shouldn't be doing this anymore. If those kinds of things are off the table, it's going to be like, look, 5 years ago, none of us ever wanted the DH in National League. We're all National League fans. We all like that style of baseball. At this point, like, just do it. Just get it over with. 15 more jobs for the players union. Why is this a negotiating tactic anymore? You want 15 more jobs. We're willing to pay them. Sign us up for Nelson Cruz. Sign us up for other guys that carry like frying pans as hands and they can't catch a goddamn thing, but they can hit a baseball. That's what we want those guys. Open it up to the National League. Bring Albert home for a year. Why wait on doing this? Let's do it. DH, NL. Why not?
Put it in there. I'm ready for it.
Yeah, I am too. We can't hear Pete.
Pete, you're either on mute or you're still having. Can't hear Pete. Yep.
Is the power button on? Is it plugged in? Oh, you sent me. Wait a minute. He's going to come out. He's going to leave and come back in. All right, Elliot. I'll just. You know what? I was going to put this on you and me, but I'll give it a second here. But I definitely want to get your thoughts on this. I mean, the whole lockout thing, right? I mean, I think. Well, I probably beat that to death, but like we didn't really get your take on it because Pete and I kind of ranted on it a little bit, but just in terms of timing for this, like going into potentially our third season with a disruption, and not having normal baseball to look forward to.
It's annoying.
It is, right?
Yeah, it's annoying. It's bad for baseball. I hate that there's no news. This is the time of year when it's after the holidays. You've gotten rid of your family. You've spent too much time with them. You don't want to do anything, and what you really want to do is either throw on MLB Network to hear some of the trading news or the rumblings that are going on, or you want to visit your favorite site and read about, hey, what's going on here, what's going on there, what is, how are the negotiations going, the countdown to when pitchers and catchers report. But we've got none of that because everything's uncertain right now. And the only thing that we're reading about is speculation. You can speculate all day long, but you want to know that somebody's talking to somebody and you can't. So it's just, it sucks. So, and I have found myself less and less going to look for that information because I know until the MLB Players Association and, the commissioner start to get their shit together and actually do something, we're not getting anything.
The thin-skinned commissioner.
It seems like right now they're
refusing
to do that.
Do we have Pete back yet? Pete, do we have your voice?
I don't know.
Yes, you do. Okay, we got you. Okay, great. Don't know what happened there. That was weird.
So tonight is the technical show. No, it was odd as hell. My soundboard completely froze.
Ooh.
I got up, I came back, and it was frozen.
Is your button red?
Well, it is now because I unplugged it and I plugged it back in, but that didn't. But then brutal. I had to.
Yeah.
I had to log out and log back in. Anyway,
you know what's doubly bad about that? I recorded in multi-track tonight, so this ought to be a complete shit show. I'd probably end up ripping this right off of YouTube.
That might not be a terrible idea.
All right. We got to make a transition here real quick, Pete. So I'm going to put you up on screen solo here for a second and lead us out with the baseball talk, sports talk. You guys that don't want to listen to the nerd shit, this is your time to check out. This is your exit ramp. Pete's going to put his old man glasses back on and go ahead and read our way out of here. So I'll leave it at that. And for those of you sports fans, we'll be back. We'll be back next week, man. We're getting on a regular schedule again. And I give you my commitment. I will be here until baseball fucks this up and delays the season, and then I'm done.
Although I do want to invite you, before you check out completely on the nerd shit, we are going to talk about some pop culture that actually ties into baseball. So you may want to stick around for 10 or 15
Yes,
minutes.
I love this one. I love this one.
Before you completely cut out. But if you've had enough, and you don't want to hear us talk about pop culture, and if you've enjoyed this episode, don't forget to subscribe. And if you want to help spread the word, please give us a 5-star review and tell your friends to subscribe. Share the show. Don't keep it to yourself. We're available on Rumble, Facebook, YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and wherever else you listen to podcasts. Also, be sure to check out the other Gateway City Sports Network podcasts, including the Derek King Sports Show, 2 for 3 with Moose Michaels, Yacker Jacks, XFL, STL, and End the Cards with A-Train Arlington Lane. Send us an email at the show at teamofrivalspodcast.com. And you can find Elliot on Twitter at okay, I'm going to assume he's frozen. He's at TOR_Elliot. And you can find Ron at am I all by myself? It would appear it's just me. Ron, where did you go? Well, I'm going to keep recording. And I'm just going to say, good God. It's just me. Somehow. There's no Elliot. There's no Ron. Just me and my old man glasses telling you that Ron, number 104 in 2021, top cards on Twitter, is at TOR_Ron75. And like I said earlier, you can find us both on Twitter and on Getter at Team of Rivals Pod. We hope you'll join us. And hey, don't go home just yet. Stick around because we're going to talk baseball and pop culture, and then we're going to get into the nerd shit. Elliot, glad you're back. Where the hell did Ron go? You guys left me all by myself. I gave you your cue. You weren't there to answer your cue.
I'm here.
Ron,
I'm sorry.
I gave you your cue. You weren't there to answer your cue. Screw both you guys.
What was the cue? Can you start all over?
No, I already did it. Fuck you both. All right. So I was eating dinner tonight. I had some time to kill, and I was like, okay, what am I going to watch? And I was looking for something short, and it's been on my list for I don't know how long, but finally pulled it up on Netflix. Battered Bastards of Baseball.
Oh, such a good documentary. I love it.
The story of the 1973 to 1977 Portland Mavericks. I've actually walked around that stadium.
And didn't know. You didn't even know when you walked there.
Didn't even know the story. Didn't know the story. They had been gone for 24 years by the time that I had arrived there. What a great freaking story. And guys, I think the one thing that it reminded me is that baseball gets to be fun. And that it doesn't have to be about making money, and it doesn't have to be about a big conglomerate. And I told you guys as we were going online, it inspired me. I kind of want to buy season tickets for the Kane County Cougars now. I want to support an independent baseball team and not a team that's affiliated with a Major League Baseball club because they actually have an incentive to be good.
I just want a Cougar, Pete.
You already have a Cougar on. We discussed this
before. I know.
You do.
He just walks away. Where'd he go? What the hell is going on
He's
tonight?
the one that wanted to talk about this. We've seen it.
Yeah, and so okay, fine. Audio version doesn't see that Pete has just left the camera. Oh, there he is. Okay.
Yeah, I was
something.
sitting here and I was wondering, I was like, damn, why am I not getting higher speeds on my connection? And then I looked on the ground to the left, and I didn't complete that last important step with the cable from the Ethernet, and that's plugging it into the router so that it connects to the computer.
That works that way, right? Where you gotta.
It does. And suddenly I've gone from 150 megabit connection to over 400. So it would seem that seems to be a crucial thing, is plugging in that wire. That cable.
It's all about wires, man.
It is.
As easier as more streamlined as this equipment has become, Pete. It doesn't feel like it's really gotten that much easier. I have to plug in fewer things, but then it's a trade-off for more buttons and settings you got to have right.
Right.
It's never ending.
More steps you can miss.
That's right. Yeah, and it happens quite frequently. But yeah, Pete, I saw the same documentary. In fact, my brother-in-law tipped me off to it, and so he told me I watched it. Just a great documentary, and I love documentaries. I'm a huge fan of them. But I was just the name Kirk Russell playing independent professional baseball was just, and his father, who was a Hollywood person that came up to Portland, bought a team and did this and decided we're going to be the last. They're the Alamo of the independent baseball at the time. And they brought in.
At the time, they were the only independent team in all of baseball.
And crazy. And United States used to be full of them. Right.
Yeah.
And so.
What did it say? At one point, there were 250 independent teams.
Right. But they were the Alamo at of that day. And they had Kirk Russell. I think he played second base for them with big glasses on. DH. So he had frying pans for hands, and he couldn't catch anything.
And let's not forget, not only that, they had Jim Bouton, infamous author of Ball 4, somebody who had been on the end of the Yankees dynasties.
Oh, that's right.
Who was an incredible pitcher.
Yeah.
And he said he had a better time pitching for the Portland Mavericks than he did pitching in Major League Baseball.
And Major League Baseball, just like they're displaying today, sore chapped asses about an independent team kicking everybody's ass in that league that year. Yeah, everybody's affiliate. And what did they do in the playoffs? They sent their best prospects all to the teams in the playoffs just to keep this independent league team from winning it all. From what I recall.
It seemed so fortuitous that I chose to watch it tonight, right at the height of this lockout, right? Because I think it really drove it home for me. And there are a number of factors that are conspiring for baseball to become less and less popular in America.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that this is actually a part of it. In 1972, there were 250 communities that had independent baseball teams that were concerned with putting out a product on the field that would connect with their local community. And after that, Major League Baseball affiliated all the minor league teams, and they formally structured the Major League Baseball system. And all of a sudden, all those teams no longer had an incentive to field a team that was appealing to the local,
because
the local community.
It was delegitimized because it's not affiliated with a major league team. You're not watching a star of the future anymore, right?
Right. All that mattered to Major League Baseball at that point was development, and I understand that. But what they lost was the connection at the local level, because you weren't watching a team that you knew was going to be around all year. You were watching a team that could change from week to week or even day to day.
Well, you know what, Pete? It goes that's one more component to, and I tie this down to the lowest levels of baseball, down to Little League, down to these little kids who are playing, access to the game. Like how easy is it to play anymore? And it's actually become way more difficult, and it's actually become more expensive because it's become less accessible, less common. When you don't have these kinds of, I'd say, roots or affiliations within your communities, it does make baseball more foreign to younger kids, and it really is. So I don't know. It just again, there's layers of my worry about baseball, and baseball being, even professional, even independent, being kind of dying out in smaller communities is a worry. Look, I'm not opposed to change. None of us are.
I tell you what. I tell you what. I have a lot of nephews who are pretty good at baseball, so they make the traveling leagues. And I look at
they state champions,
my
like their
cousin
uncle,
and my brother,
do you ever rub that in their face? Do you ever rub that in their face, Elliot? Do you ever say, "Hey, wait,
the Midwest,
I was a state champion and you aren't"? Never mind. Keep going. Sorry, I'm being a complete dick right now. Okay.
No. So
I would.
No, it's all right. But I like my cousin bought a
championship,
an RV, because it was getting too expensive to stay in hotels, because his son was traveling all over the United States to play baseball with these traveling teams, and he plays for like 3 of them. I mean, if you're good at baseball, I mean, your parents better have money to be able to take you all over the country to play, to show your talents, because it's not at the local. It's not, you can't play baseball at the local level anymore, because there's not enough teams to do it. Now, I mean, there are a lot of teams, but if you want to showcase, you got to go out of state.
Yeah. Or you got to be some kind of freak talent that can pick it up quick.
If your parents don't have the means to do it, you might not be on that team.
Yeah. Well, and that's what I've seen here. I mean, it's even true here, Elliot, where the kids that excel the most, or at least get the most attention, the most screen time, are the kids that play in the travel teams, the force leagues, the things that not only money, but it's a time cost to parents. And it's like when you have 2 working spouses, that's really goddamn hard, man. As much as I want to do it, like I played on as many as 3 teams over the summer. You know, the American Legion, maybe another like junior varsity team that's kind of like a prep league or whatever, and then rec. I remember playing quite a bit, but most of it was local. Most of it I can get to, or hitch a ride with another parent or the coach or whoever. So it wasn't that big of a deal. Right. But Elliot, the difference is I remember all that stuff being of essentially no cost. Like travel baseball didn't cost my parents anything. We were fundraising. We were standing in front of the Aldis, in front of the Kmart, in front of the local grocery stores with cans. I remember doing this. Did it over a weekend. It was fun. It was fundraising weekend, and we were sponsored by a local business.
Sausage.
Yeah, I mean,
and you were doing it because you were just doing it because you like playing baseball,
and we wanted new helmets.
Not because
next year.
you were doing it because you wanted to get noticed by some scout.
Yeah, no, we wanted new jerseys next year, new helmets, or new equipment, and that's what that stuff paid for. And you don't really see that kind of stuff anymore. You see the manufactured catalog here, buy some candles, and to support your local troop. And like, okay, I don't know. Things have changed, man, and I'm not opposed to change, but baseball has definitely not ridden along with the times. They are not modernized unless you are an elite in your community and you've got the money and you got the connections to get your kid on the travel team. That's the way baseball's going. That's not good. It's not good, guys, for the inner city kids, the kids of minorities or anybody else that just don't have the same access or the connections that others do. And if you wonder why black players have fallen under under 6% of Major League Baseball players, goddamn, look at the lowest levels. Look at the lowest levels of baseball, all the way down to Little League, all the way down to T-ball.
Well, Ron, you said it, right? It's quickly becoming a sport where you either have to be wealthy, you have to be a genetic freak,
or connected,
or you have to not be in the United States. Because those kids who don't live in the United States until they change the draft rules for the international draft, those kids who aren't in the United States, they can end up landing in Major League Baseball because they're going to be scouted. And they don't have to be on a travel baseball.
And they've got great academies down there, regardless of they have a focus, they have a passion for it. And that's the thing, man. Other countries have their passion for this sport. Sorry, I know Americans don't want to admit this. You can wear all the Star Spangled Banner shit you want to, and say baseball is your sport. Go watch this in South America. Go watch these leagues in the Caribbean. Go watch a game over in Japan. Guys, we're no longer the most passionate fan base in the U.S. about this sport. It's shared. We should be proud of that. We've spread this sport around. But as far as national interest, guys, I can't say that, we obviously know baseball is not number one anymore, but it is in other countries, or it's fastly becoming that, quickly becoming that. Feel threatened.
Yeah, I mean, baseball right now, you could almost say that baseball is probably the number 3 sport behind the NFL and the NBA.
Yeah, and I keep your eyes on the MLS. They're expanding. And that's not the world's most popular sport for no reason, right? It's easily accessible. Doesn't cost a lot to do it. You need a ball. And some cleats and shin guards.
And that's why, starting in February of 2022, the Team of Rivals podcast becomes a European football podcast. We'll reveal in the coming weeks our choices of
Chicago
our
has an
teams.
MLS team, right?
We do. The Chicago Fire.
St. Louis is going to have St. Louis City.
Fire.
There have been rumors that that the Fire name isn't going to last much longer.
Why?
Who knows? It offends somebody.
Too negative?
Sure. Yeah. No. Yeah. It's offensive. It's not inclusive. I don't know.
Well, St. Louis has a team coming. St. Louis City. Maybe we can switch over to MLS.
Well, I mean, isn't that the proper way to name your team anyway? Is that you really don't have the proper way to name a football. Actually, the Washington football
There's a sentence in there somewhere. Go ahead. Keep going.
There is. The Washington football team is ahead of the curve because if you look at the rest of professional sports around the world, right? It's Chelsea Football Club, it's Manchester United, Manchester City, and then you go to Juventus Football Club. You go to Barcelona, FC Barcelona, Football Club Barcelona, Atletico Madrid, all those teams, right? They have nicknames, right? Manchester United are the Red Hawks, but that's what the teams or that's what the fans who refer to them are. Or that's how they refer to them, but it's not in the name. They're not the Chicago Bears National Football Organization. They're the Chicago Football Club, and then they have a nickname they come up with. So, I mean, maybe the Washington football team, still adjusting that. The Washington football team may be ahead of the curve, and maybe they shouldn't announce a mascot next month. Maybe they should just leave it as the Washington football team and let the fans come. I do know
the guys at Conduct Detrimental that were covering the St. Louis lawsuit forever. Also touched on the Cleveland Guardians debacle with the roller derby. Cleveland Guardians.
Hey, they came to a settlement.
I know they had to pay a roller derby team $1 million, and they didn't get their domain for the website. So it's like some weird thing you got to get to for the Cleveland Guardians baseball team. It's like CLE Guardians or something like that. It's not even Cleveland Guardians. That takes you to the roller derby. It's way to go, guys. They think that what I saw tweeted out yesterday was, it's already been revealed that it's probably the Washington Admirals, which wasn't even on their list of final names, because the Washington Admirals took you directly to the Washington football team website. Well, that's been changed since. Now it's like some kind of cleaning company or something. So they've covered their tracks, but I think potentially it was already revealed that their name could have potentially been the Washington Admirals. So I'm not really sure I understand that one, but
yeah.
I would love to. I would just name them the Washington Washingtons.
Just leave it to Washington football team. Let the fans call them what they want to call them.
Or can you strike a deal with the Nationals? I mean, you had the St. Louis football Cardinals. You had the St. Louis Cardinals baseball team. They existed for years together. Why couldn't it just be the Washington Nationals football team?
Yeah, exactly.
Like the New York football Giants. New York.
Yeah, the Washington football Nationals.
Yeah.
Or the Washington football. Hey, you know what? Maybe they should be the Bullets again.
Or the Wizards.
No, leave the Wizards.
Bullets. Yeah, that's right.
Get the Bullets back.
No. Bullets is offensive. It denotes it speaks to violence, Pete. We can't do that.
You're right. And they're not the murder capital of the United States right now. Chicago is. So
there we go.
What was it? 820.
We're number one. We're number one.
Are you seeing the same thing I am?
Yes, I'm seeing the same thing you are. I'm trying to determine what that is. Is Elliot pixelated because there's
big
blurry
blurry
going
mess?
on in the background now?
No, it's wonderful. It's like a Christmas tree that was smashed, like thrown out of a window. That's what you look like.
The great
right
thing
now.
about it is that if you look around, I don't know about
now.
you, but like if I look at the Wirecast feed, he's pixelated. But if I look at the little postmark at the bottom of the screen that shows his live feed, he's fine.
Yeah, I know all this stuff is weird. It's technology, folks. We've ran about 75 minutes here on the show. We've got to get to the other part. So, Pete,
we do.
Walk us out of the
if you
sports.
don't like nerd stuff, go away, because we're going to talk about Star Wars now. Greg Yakey, sorry, I just saw your thing. He even has it in his bio. It's pronounced Yakey. So, Greg Yakey,
I always thought it was Yaki.
Thanks for hanging with us tonight.
Did you think it was Yaki in your head?
Yeah, of course.
I did too. Yeah.
I want it to be Yaki, but it's Yakey. Greg Yakey.
I want it to be CJ Basket. Where is he calling in? Is he calling in tonight?
It doesn't look like
he's still around.
He's still around, but he has to lie low because otherwise the pro zombie forces will target him for death. So
I thought they were going to get him one night. It was early pandemic, right, where he was looking over his shoulder.
You know what? I'm going to have to find that one, and I'm going to have to.
That is correct.
I'm going to have to clip that. I'm going to have to put it up as one of our greatest hits because that was a segment for the ages. For those
we were
of
just
you
talking
who
to him. I
haven't
was
been
like,
with us
hey.
long enough, or for those of you who have forgotten, CJ called in to join us one night, and it looked like he was being hunted.
He was getting hunted. Yeah.
It was dark. He was looking around.
It was either Russian mafia, zombies, or Predator. I don't know what.
I prefer to believe that it was zombies. That's the story I tell myself. All right. Let's talk nerd stuff.
All right.
We're 2 weeks in, guys. We're almost a third of the way. And actually, given the length of this week's episode, we're a third of the way through the Book of Boba Fett.
It's only 6 episodes?
7. I heard it's 7.
Oh, okay.
Now, so I wonder if they weren't planning.
Yeah, I heard the same thing.
I wonder if they weren't playing. But initially, you're absolutely right, though, Ron. Initially, the reports were this was going to be 6 episodes. So I wonder if they didn't get to that 6th episode and decide, you know what, this is too long, or you know what, this is going to be better for us if we split it up. So now the word on the street is that it's 7. Where are you guys at so far after what, almost an hour and a half of content?
Yeah. Yeah. If you don't mind, Ellie, I'll go into it. I mean, I first of all, I missed the whole teaser of this at the end of The Mandalorian season 2. My 16.
How many times did you miss the teaser?
Just
3, 4.
My 16-year-old son, we've all heard him on the show, calls me. He's like, "Did you?" Because he knows I notoriously hate sitting through credits. I won't do it. And he calls and said, "I have to fast forward." This is on streaming, right? You don't have to sit there and wait.
Yep. And
I totally missed it. Like for 24 hours, I had no idea this Book of Boba Fett thing was even revealed. And so he finally showed me. I'm like, okay, well, okay, interesting. I always struggle with the fact that that's what he turned to, that he was going to take over this crime ring or the syndicate or whatever it is that Jabba was running. It didn't fit the personality. And maybe it's because Boba Fett was such a mystery to all of us that we kind of filled in the blanks ourselves. We gave him his own history and past in our own brains. And what he ended up doing didn't really fit that kind of thing. I thought he was kind of a loner, independent, you know. So I thought, okay, it's an interesting twist. But seeing the show, and I said it in a text to all of you guys. So far, I've been okay with it. It's been fine. But especially with the last episode, I basically feel like I'm watching Anthony Bourdain's No Reservations, visiting the Tuscan lifestyle, learning all about how they make their stuff and what food they eat and what kind of liquor they drink.
Ron, you just flashed through me like somebody's sitting there in a pitch meeting and they're like, okay, we're going to send Boba Fett to Tuscany. And they're like, Tuscan Raiders? What?
We're going to send Boba Fett to Tatooine.
No.
To explore.
Tuscan Raiders, not Tuscan, not Italian Tuscan.
Tuscany, right.
Raiders. I don't know what you're talking about. What do you? Huh?
No, we're gonna send a Stanley Tucci to Tuscany.
Tucci's going to Tuscany.
Boba is
Boba Fett's going to Tuscan. On Tatooine.
Yeah. Right.
Tatooine, Tuscany.
Yeah, it's confusing to executives.
Elliot. Well, yeah, especially if you're not a Star Wars fan, which we know 98% of Lucasfilm is not.
No,
so
you have no clue.
Where are you at so far?
I like it so far. I'm good with it. It's entertaining. I'm really enjoying the story. I really liked the last episode, especially with the Syndicate. In including them in a live action film. So, because we hadn't seen them, I think the only time we ever saw them was Clone Wars. So, the animated series.
Well, I mean, we actually hadn't seen
Clone Wars and Rebels, correct?
Yeah, no, I mean, you're talking about Tusken Raiders, right? Right?
No, I'm talking about the Syndicate.
Oh.
That was on the train.
Oh, you mean the Pikes?
And
yeah, the Pikes. Yeah.
Pikes. No, we've seen the Pikes.
We
saw
them
in
Solo. Yeah, we saw them in Solo.
You might not want to remember that, but there was a movie. It came after The Last Jedi. And
like 5 months after.
3. After The Last Jedi.
Hold on, I'm doing math.
Before The Rise of Skywalker. It was this movie. I don't know if you remember it, Elliot. It was called Solo. It was about Han Solo.
Vaguely.
Do you know that character? It was about Han Solo. And it told in the most basic detail all the storylines that we really did want to know about Han Solo, but not to that excruciating level of detail. And it actually, in retrospect, wasn't a bad film. The problem was it didn't uncover anything new. It didn't uncover anything we didn't already know about Han.
No, you're absolutely right. Okay, well, shit. I just saw a track where I could go down a Solo thing. I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to take the bait.
Nerds.
Yeah. No, we did see the Pikes. We saw. Yeah, you're right, Pete. We saw them on the Spice Mines of Kessel and Solo, but they've been in the Clone Wars. They show up in real life here too, and you see them unmasked. You didn't see them unmasked in Solo, which is kind of strange. I mean, they actually look like they're masked, which I didn't expect. It's actually pretty close. So that was it's an interesting one that they would have that much interest or something doings on Tatooine. I mean, Tatooine's if there's a bright center of the universe, Tatooine is the planet that it's farthest from. Certainly has a hell of a lot of shit going on as far as Star Wars is concerned. They've had both Darth Vader and Luke grow up and one be born and grow up on this planet. The other one just grow up on this planet after being evacuated, from his dying mother. You've had all kinds of other shit going on Tatooine. It is not the farthest thing from the bright center of the universe. I actually think Tatooine might be in the Star Wars universe the bright center of the universe. That seems to be where the most significant shit has ever happened. Look at everything that's happened with Boba Fett. The son of the copy of the clone who was the master copy for all the clones in the Clone Wars happens to be residing now on Tatooine. Like, Tatooine is not an insignificant planet. I don't get bored of those sands, man.
And that's where Jabba's palace was.
That's right. And they've actually reproduced that thing pretty well. I mean, all the scenes with that we were used to seeing in Return of the Jedi, they've copied them all. Now there's less people. It seems like a less populated. So maybe a little bit, maybe like a party that ended an hour ago, and you still want to party, but nobody's there. I kind of feels that's what Jabba's palace feels like right now. Yeah, I don't know. It's I don't know, guys. I have a little bit of an empty feeling yet for the show. It hasn't really taken its hold on me. But I will tell you, with the Tusken Raiders, I've learned way more about the Tusken Raiders than I ever thought I would or ever wanted to. But I appreciate it. They've not done it poorly. It's not taken away from it. It's actually added a new depth. But I'm not sure how significant what significance in the galaxy, the Star Wars galaxy, I should put on the Tusken Raiders. I don't know that I ever needed them to be that important, but okay. I'm not offended by it. It's been fine.
So I gotta ask, have you seen the meme with the apologizing Obi-Wan Kenobi?
No.
Where it's him, and it's got a whole bunch of microphones in front of his face, and he's saying, "May I take this opportunity to apologize for my use of the term sand people when describing the noble Tusken Raiders. It was wrong, and I have learned my lesson. I have many friends in the TR community, and I am deeply ashamed."
No, I have not seen that. I have not seen that, but that is really good.
That is awesome.
I had a buddy send that to me today. So just everything with,
Yes, with
that
today.
is amazing.
Correct.
That's amazing. Ron, you mentioned Tatooine being. So it's clear that our perception of Tatooine is based on Luke's perception. And Luke felt that he was growing up on a desert planet. But I think what the Star Wars saga has uncovered for us is that you're absolutely right. Tatooine is the furthest thing from the center of the universe. Geographically, it may be. But I think I remember reading that that it's actually somewhat uniquely positioned on the galactic trade routes, on the hyperspace routes, and that's why Jabba is there. It's not an accident that a member of the Hutt clan is on Tatooine. Its remote location, when you think about it, it makes sense that the Pikes and the Hutt would be operating there because its remote location makes it an ideal place for there to be smuggling operations, because it's too far to station a garrison, right? It'd be quickly overrun. You wouldn't station a garrison that far up. So it absolutely makes sense.
No, it does.
And you're right. Our perception of the planet Tatooine has been colored by Luke's perception that he was in the middle of.
Well, initially,
when in actuality, he was been at the center of everything his whole life.
But initially, it was right, because that's what he said in the very first movies. We saw it again in Return of the Jedi very briefly, because we saw that Han Solo return to the planet, all that stuff, and it wasn't that whole thing. The whole thing wasn't changed until you get to Episode 1, going all the way to the prequels. Like, well, shit, his dad was from here too. And then, oh, wait, all of a sudden, it starts to change. And like, no matter what Star Wars creator pops up, they can't get away from Tatooine. It has some kind of pull to them, some kind of significance where you go back to it for some reason, because there was such a rich history from the very beginnings of Star Wars. The very first images we saw weren't just a starship. It was the planet below that. And so much of the story has unfolded there or been embedded there that I don't think we're ever going to see. I mean, Christ, guys, the best video game franchise that existed for Star Wars was the Knights of the Old Republic. And guess what? They went back to Tatooine at one point, even in that thing. So I don't think that they're ever going to get away from it. I think every creator from this point forward, it's going to be like having Stan Lee in every Marvel movie. Like there's going to be Tatooine in every Star Wars property at some point in time, some touch of it, anything. So I'm okay with that. If you have to have some kind of anchor in Star Wars, it doesn't have to be the theme, it doesn't have to be the music. I'm okay if it ends up being Tatooine.
I agree. I tell you, I'm with you guys. I think I'm kind of in between. It's definitely been a slow burn these first 2 episodes. I loved this week's episode, especially because it gave me another opportunity to educate my son on all of the fan service that we have been getting. I mean, this week's episode was loaded with it. If you're a Star Wars fan and have been for as long as the 3 of us have been, this was amazing. The Rancor, getting to see additional Hutts in live action that didn't look terrible, like Jabba's girlfriend in episode 1. Getting to see an evil Wookiee. We'd never seen a bad Wookiee before, at least not in live action Star Wars. And we got to see a bad Wookiee. You know, we saw the Pikes fantastic. On Tatooine. We've learned an incredible amount about sorry, not Sand People. I don't want to offend. Tusken Raider culture. And the deepest cookie. And I stopped it when the boy and I were watching the show today. And I explained it to him. And then I stopped it when we got to the credits. He was like, Dad, you were right. We finally saw Cammy and Fixer in Tashi Station on screen. And if you haven't been, you really have to be a big time Star Wars nerd for the names Cammy and Fixer to mean anything to you.
Yeah.
And they, not only were they in the story, they were credited, which means that it was canon. That was Cammy and Fixer in Tashi Station. I mean, if you have any doubts about how much of a fan Jon Favreau is and how much he wants to take care of this week's episode should put those to rest.
Well, and it had a lot to do with Filoni too, right? I mean,
and did you notice that?
Go ahead.
Yeah. In the first 2 episodes were both done by Rodriguez.
Right. And then now he plays the mayor of Mos Espa.
Got an issue with that one. Yeah, got an issue with that
him playing the mayor, or with a hammerhead being the mayor.
No. I think, and it had some issues in the Mandalorian too with a couple of the. Who's the bluegill guy? Very first episode, the first bounty that Mando.
Horatio Sands.
I mean, just the way the guy talks and everything. Some things seem out of universe, and I know Star Wars can. You go back and listen to dialogue from every movie, every episode. There's stuff in there that. You know,
we're going to talk about the Major Domo.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know how I feel about this yet, guys. I'm willing to let things breathe. Right. I don't sip wine as soon as I pop the cork and say it sucks. I like to let things breathe a little bit before I pass too much judgment on it. But yeah, that whole mayor's when he goes to send a tribute to Jabba, that character, that Twi'lek in general, like
he's the Major Domo.
Bib Fortuna is my bar for Twi'leks.
Yeah.
I don't know who this guy is. This David Hasselhoff of Twi'leks. Like, I don't like you. You speak too much like we do here today on this planet, and I kind of don't like that. I don't like when they do that kind of thing. So this one is a little bit out of character, or out of universe for me. I don't take to this one just like I didn't take the Horatio Sands bluegill guy in the beginning. Seemed like these 2 guys could have easily been on just a Star Trek episode, Next Generation back in the 90s or 80s, whenever it was. It seems out of place.
Ron, I hear you. I absolutely do. But I think so. This guy, David Pasquesi, you've seen him before. If he wasn't in the makeup, you've seen him. He's got a career. and I'm scrolling through his resume right now to try and find what he's probably most recognizable from. I mean, he's been on Veep. He plays Andrew Meyer on Veep. He's been on Chicago Fire.
Fine.
He's been on all kinds of stuff. And what that tells me is this character is a choice. There is a reason that he's coming across this way, because this guy doesn't have a resume as extensive as his is if he doesn't know what he's doing. And so he's being coached into it. I don't know what that choice is, but here would be my guess, right? Because you're absolutely right. As far as we know, Twi'leks start and end, or they start with Bib Fortuna.
Well, yes.
But Bib Fortuna didn't speak English.
No, he spoke Huttese, right?
And he spoke Huttese, and he expected that you spoke Huttese.
Right.
So
let's just say it, like the male Twi'leks that we've seen, even in early days in the Clone Wars, all ugly MFers, all of them, misshapen heads. Now the female Twi'leks, of course,
hot,
right? And now you get a male Twi'lek that actually looks normal.
Hats off to Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni for getting Jennifer Beals.
Holy shit! She looks good, fantastic.
Can we just take a break for a second?
Yes.
And let's recognize how good this old cast looks. Tim Morrison, Ming-Na Wen, and Jennifer Beals. Holy shit, I want to look that good in 7 years.
Holy crap, I do too. I'm going to look that good in 10 years. I mean, all of them. I mean, Ming-Na Wen, you can't go wrong. I mean, she doesn't age.
She's 58.
There's no way, man.
She looks younger than me.
Yes.
Yeah.
And me. And Elliot.
Combined.
And Elliot's son. She looks younger than Elliot's son.
But yes, you're absolutely right, Ron. Our experience of the male Twi'leks has been that they're horrid, misshapen monsters, right? And that's why I think that this is definitely a choice, right? Mm-hmm. This guy looks cleaner. He speaks English.
Perfect English.
Right?
Yeah.
And so I think that they're leaning into that, right? Like they have found the most obsequious, most normal looking Twi'lek that they can for this Ithorian mayor, right? If you're going to have somebody who is going to be his face, like they do everything they can to protect this guy from actually having to deal with the public.
Mm-hmm.
And so his face is going to be as pleasing as possible. Jabba didn't need this guy. Jabba wanted a Twi'lek who only spoke Huttese and whose teeth were pointy and who swore at you, who cursed at you, and had his creepy long nails, and he was fondling R2 in a very uncomfortable way.
What he did, he had the nails on the head.
Yep, but that was the major domo that Jabba the Hutt needed.
Kenny Baker spoke about that in a documentary.
I bet. But this makes sense that this is the face of the government in Mos Espa.
Yeah.
So I'm not entirely bothered by him, but I think for him and for the whole Book of Boba Fett to this point, this feels like we're being slow played, and I think that this is going to be a really slow burn, and I think that we are going to be sitting there with our jaws
it's definitely
on the floor at the end.
It's definitely a slow burn as far as what's happened from Mandalorian on, right? Because we've spent over half this time, guys, in the somebody called this on Rebel Force Radio. I love the term flashback. When he's in the back of the tank, there's a flashback to his, and I love how they've done this. I really appreciate it, and I think that they even mentioned it on their podcast. Or I think the creators of this have taken influence from The Godfather, especially The Godfather 2, about spending like half that movie in the past, which worked for that movie, right? And it was really good. And I think they're doing that too, where it's telling the story of what, one, how we got out of the Sarlacc pit, which we haven't talked about that yet, but I thought that was like, okay, a lot of interesting things going on there. I won't. Let's go into detail on that later. But it told him, it told the story of how he got out, what happened to him after, how he got his armor stolen from a bunch of Jawas and motherfuckers. They do that every time. They like to steal shit. And he was basically rescued by Tuskens. You didn't think that when they took him. He looked like almost like property slave or somebody they were going to kill, but they basically saved his life, and he's taken on to their culture. And people ask, well, why 5 years after Return of the Jedi, which is when Mando is supposed to take place, right? 4 or 5 years, somewhere around that time frame. Why come out now? He spent that much time in the desert with them. Now you're starting to learn why. Like, it was a culture. They took him in. It was something he wanted to protect. I mean, he could have left in the last episode and not come back. But he came back with the speeder bikes and said, hey, we're going to take out this train. Maybe he had another motive. Maybe we'll learn about it later. But, he's shown some kind of loyalty to this desert tribe that took him in and saved his life and showed him a different way. So a lot has changed with him. Maybe the lizard up his nose had something to do with it. I don't know.
Well, and I think that this is definitely giving more depth to Boba Fett's character than I think that we had ever assumed, right? And you had referred to it before. We always assumed that Boba was this loner, a loner bounty hunter, but Dave Filoni and George Lucas put the lie to that during the Clone Wars, because we saw Boba Fett working with now he was a kid, but still we saw him working with other bounty hunters to achieve his goals. And that continued on. That wasn't just a one-time story arc. That happened time and time again. And I'm beginning to wonder if kind of the story that Dave Filoni and Jon Favreau are writing is that Boba Fett never was actually a loner who was solely motivated by bounty hunting, but that instead he was somebody who was motivated by simply by the money. And he now sees the opportunity with Jabba's throne being vacant of, this is an even easier way to.
Right. And this is so far, like where he is right now in Jabba's throne to where we see these flashbacks is probably a good 2 to 3 years in between. So, what's happened with him? What's changed him a little bit from being that loner, that cold calculating killer that, get the bounty at whatever cost, all his training and everything, into, wanting to run a crime syndicate or be the boss. I still don't know where that's going yet. So.
Neither do I, and I'm here for the ride. And I think that the things that we're going to find out over the next 6 episodes, as the flashbacks get closer and closer to the present, I think it's pretty clear. Boba's going to marry the warrior, right? Because
with the long hair, right?
That's a female Tusken. So there's going to be a connection there. I assume he's probably going to adopt that little kid, or else he's going to have a Tusken of his own.
Hey, if he's going to leave the Twi'lek Jennifer Beals available, I'm good with that.
Well, that too. Well, yeah, maybe she's the next. And then what is going to be the step that brings the story to the point where he finally decides not only that I'm going to get my armor back from Cobb Vanth, but that I'm going to return from isolation. I've been in isolation for 5 years, and he clearly has built a life for himself. So what's going to pull him out of that? And I'm very curious about that, because there's going to have to be something incredibly compelling. And, there's been speculation. Is Fennec Shand, we see that she's not entirely human. And the question was that as a result of him saving her life?
Well, she's obviously, if she's 58, like you said, she is not entirely human.
Right, exactly. So that's the question. Is she a cyborg that he built while he was out in the desert?
Maybe. Well, this is a hot one. Let me get some parts together. Preserve it. But no, glad you enjoyed that.
Oh, here you go. What if Fennec Shand is that female Tusken?
I don't think that's the case, but I'm willing to leave the whole thing open. But there's a lot of interesting possibilities or twists and turns that this thing can take. But Pete, what I think pulls him out of the whole Tusken, like I think he stays there for a long time, and I think he's compelled to, like, they've shown him mercy, they've shown him a way, they've challenged him and accepted him, and he's earned his place, right? Like he carved out his own gaffy stick. He's kind of, taken to, look, I'm learning a different way to do things that aren't as easy. There's not machines available to make me do these things easy. I have to earn it. I think he's learning a whole new skill and growing as a character by going through this culture. This is a very hard culture to live through, right? Imagine being an outsider, being accepted, and having them take him in and earn all these things that they only they only afford to their own. I think my prediction is what pulls him out of this is he learns that the armor exists and is out there. I think he sees it, learns about it, and it pulls him back to the life he had before, but he's taking with him all these new things that he's learned. I think that's likely where it's going. He's got unsettled scores, but I think many people have predicted, like, well, Solo is the one that put him in that pit accidentally, but he did. So is he going to go after him as a vendetta? And I just don't see him doing that anymore. I don't see that being a thing. I think he's transformed.
Well, did you hear the rumor or see the rumor from Dictor Van Doomcock today?
No.
Dropped several hours ago. Apparently his sources are saying, which could be exciting, who knows, his sources are saying that we're going to see the big three at the end of Book of Boba Fett. That they've secured rights from Billy Lord, and that she's going to voice Leia, and that towards the end of this arc, who knows if it's true, but towards the end of this arc, we're going to see Luke, Leia, Han, and Grogu on Tatooine.
And Grogu.
And Grogu.
I'll believe it when I see it.
Really?
Fits into the timeline.
Yeah.
It seems like, the fountain drink kids used to think was cool, the suicide where you put every flavor over the ice.
Ron, if I had told you a year ago that Luke was going to be in the last episode of The Mandalorian.
Well, if you told me a year ago, he would have been. So you got to go back like 13 months.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
I had told you at the beginning of season 2 that Luke was going to be in the last episode of The Mandalorian. What would your reaction be?
I would have said, they're not going to do that. Like, they wouldn't go there. They wouldn't risk it.
And what was your reaction when it happened?
Holy shit, they did it. And they did it pretty well.
Yeah. So we'll see. We'll see if Dictor is right.
Dictor Van Doomcock, right? I hope he's right.
I hope he is too.
I hope he's right, just because of his name.
Yeah, just so that everybody has to properly credit Dictor Van Doomcock.
On the news.
Dictor Van Doomcock, as predicted by Dictor Van Doomcock the first week of January. Must credit.
Yeah. That's what I want.
That was kind of like when
that's what America wants.
Katy Perry's booty hole.
That's right.
Broke news.
Katy Perry's booty hole.
Not only did her booty hole break news, it also broke wind. Oh, and
really? See, I imagine it being coated with glitter.
Well, that's what comes out when she breaks wind. You can ask Orlando Bloom. I'm sure he knows. So we've already gone through the closing, and I think that we've landed where we need to land. It's the first week in 2022, which as somebody pointed out to me, there's something really disturbing about that. Is that if you actually analyze it, it's 2022. So let's hope that it's not. Let's hope that 2022 can be its own year and not 2020 again. I got nothing else to say, boys. It's good to see you back on the screen. Ron, I can't wait to listen to the podcast with Katie. Woo! And
I asked her about the wooing.
I'm done. I got nothing else to say.
I got nothing else either. All right. Glad to be back, everyone. We'll be back next week. Same time, same place. Hopefully baseball gets its shit together, but we're not counting on it, so we'll come up with other stuff to talk about and fun stuff and insane stuff. So until then, love you all so much. Bye-bye, everyone.